you know, please let us know in the chat. We'd love to read it. So, and then here's the water pot that they supply. I like a little bit more water, so just that's just my personal preference. And you can also use this as a palette too. You can also put your paints in here in case you don't want to do a wet palette. This is just as fun. It works just as good. No need to be as pedantic as I am. So anyway, so let's get started. So we're gonna go ahead and start base coating. So there's two brushes in here. We have the fine detail brush, and as you can tell, it's got a lot finer tip. Is that on there? I can't tell. But thank you, David. You're the best. The true MVP of this paint night. Yeah. So okay, yeah. So this is, you can tell it's much thinner paint, or like much thinner bristles. And then we have the all-purpose brush here. So you can tell it's a little bit bigger. It's a little thicker. There's a lot more bristles. And so what I'm gonna do is, so it comes with a protective coating to protect the bristles and make sure that the point is. So we're just gonna wet it, and we're just gonna, like I said, we're just gonna get a little bit of wet, get the party going, so we loosen the bristles a little bit because there's a protective coating on there, and now we're ready to go. So we're gonna go ahead. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna open this bad boy up. Finally, after all this blabbering on and talking, and we're gonna get started. So what I like to do for a pot like this, so like if you're painting with Citadel paints or with something, or using this paint kit, what I like to do is I like to take the bottom end of the brush and I put it in there, and I like to try and get as much on there as I want. So then I have a nice big daub of paint. I'm gonna go ahead and just put it on there. So that way, no hassle, no fuss, no muss. And all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my paper towel now, and just because I don't want to be getting paint all over the place, I'm gonna go ahead and just wipe it off. So it's gonna be a little bit of paint on the debris, a little bit of paint on there, but not the end of the world. We don't need it to be perfect. We just need it to be good enough. So right now, for now, I'm gonna start off with, I'm gonna bring some of this paint over here and bring it over here, and then we're gonna get started. So we're gonna go ahead and take the heavy red, and we're just gonna kind of just paint. We're not, not really worried about anything. We're just gonna get it going, and we're just gonna try and get all the recesses and all the just get it all painted. And so one of the things that I've noticed that's different about this paint kit, and also, by the way, doesn't matter if you get anything. So we're gonna be painting those claws black. Doesn't matter if you get any. We're not worried about it yet. This is the point in the paint process where you can be as messy as you want, because you're at a point where you can go back and fix it really easily. So we're gonna go ahead and we want to keep our paint nice and clean, paintbrush nice and clean. We do not want paint to dry on the bristles. And also, when you put your paint inside of the bristles inside of the paint, I'm gonna actually thin this out a little bit because it's a little thick for my liking. So we do not want to get paint in the upper part of the bristles. That's the ferrule of the brush, and if we get paint up there, the paint is gonna dry inside the ferrule, and it's gonna make the brush like fray out, like a crazy hair day, like what my hair looks like when I wake up in the morning. It's a mess, and we don't want that for our paintbrushes. We don't want that for our hair. So we're gonna go ahead and make sure that we only cover the bottom half of the brush in paint. So like I said, we're gonna go ahead and, like I said, we're not worried about being clean here. We're just worried about getting paint. We're just gonna try and be fast and quick about it. So, and this is a really nice color. I really like this red. It's a nice deep dark red. And it's gonna be a beautiful base coat. So what we're doing right now is we're just getting the base coats done. We're just trying to.
I feel like the sample pictures that people did made the red look so much brighter.
Yeah, so there's.
It's not. Oh, you decided.
So, no. This is how they did it. So what they did in the WizKids paint is they took this black red first, and they did all the recesses because there's actually 0 shades in this kit. Not my favorite thing. I love shades. I think shades are like, admittedly, it's like the quick and easy way of doing it. You can do it the complicated way, and that's kind of how they expect you to do it this one, which, my opinion, not the greatest not the greatest way to do it, but I'm not gonna, I'm gonna show you guys how to work with it because I think it's, it's a skill you can learn. I don't particularly. I'd rather just take the easy way out. But that's because the easy way, I think it looks fantastic. I mean, it looks as good and it's less effort. I mean, and because like we're gonna do it. Trust me, we're gonna do it. I feel challenged by this kid. I see. They didn't give us a wash, and I took that personally.
This was
So-
more of a labor of love.
Yeah, I mean it is red, but yeah. So memes aside, we're gonna be doing some shading, which shading by hand, which like I said, I don't do that. It's a lot of effort, and like the payout it's like low. It's like high risk, low return. Like that's enough of me griping about this kit though. I think it's so good kit. I think the model's fantastic. I think the colors are fantastic. I think learning how to work with red is really important. And it's just it's one of those things where like red is the color that pretty much, I mean, you see red in everything. I love using red. I think red's a beautiful color. And I think the red Slaad really embodies that. So alrighty, so we're gonna go ahead and we're just getting them all painted, and don't worry about, like, if you don't cover it in the first step. This is a heavy paint, so it's designed to cover and cover very easily, but do not worry about getting like coverage in the first, like, don't worry about covering it in the first go. Like, just worry about keeping the paint spread around, and keeping it because you can always go back and paint more. So one of the important things to remember about miniature painting and as a whole, whether you're painting Warhammer miniatures, D&D miniatures, miniatures for your board games, whatever, do not worry about getting coverage on your first coat. I think that's a mistake that a lot of people make. I think they really want to just get it done, and they just think that, well, I'm just gonna try and get it done, one coat, because that's the obviously the most efficient way. And from that perspective, yeah, it makes sense. And also, but at the same time, you'll have issues with coverage in the sense that it'll drown out details. You might see brush strokes depending on whether you're painting white or yellow. So it's just with red, you won't. It's a really easy color to paint. I think it's a really good kit, minus the lack of a shade, but especially the heavy paints. The heavy paints are excellent for coverage, but also I'm not worried about covering everything immediately. If I need to go back, I will go back. I'm not gonna, sit there and try and keep painting something, because that's how, too much of a good thing, right? So, if you have any questions, again, please don't hesitate to ask. That's what I'm here for. Also, I'm in the Discord for Black Rowan Games. So, and remember to keep your brush clean. The last thing you need is a dirty brush, because this dark red is not the only color we're going to be working on. So we want to make sure to keep our brushes clean as possible, and also try not to put too much paint on your brush to start, and that's what the paintbrush is. If I feel like I have too much paint on my bristles, I'm going to go ahead and wipe some of it off, just to be safe. So I'm just, like I said, I'm not really worried about getting everything covered in the first coat. I'm more worried about just making sure that I'm getting as much covered as possible. So this is the easy part. We're gonna start with the big stuff, and then we work our way down, because it's a lot easier to fix the big stuff. Like, so when we go back to paint these spikes on his back, for example, it'll be a lot easier to go back and paint paint the red back, rather than trying to paint the black back after we covered the black and red, if that makes sense. Hopefully as we finish the miniature, it'll make more sense. But we in the meantime, you'll see what I mean when we get there. Trust the process. So, and as you can tell too, the water from the wet palette is soaking out from the paper towel into the paint, so it's thinning it as we're going. So that's why you don't see me trying to nitpick and trying to put water from my brush onto the miniature, because the wet palette's going to do it for me. It's not going to do an amazing job, but it'll do a good enough job to where you don't have to worry about it. So see how now that this coat over here is dried, I'm coming back and I'm giving it another coat. So we're not trying to drown out any details. We're just trying to taking our time. It's miniature painting. We're not speedrunners here. Granted, you can, but that's different video. It's a different paint night. Maybe with the Warhammer miniatures. But if you do have questions about it, let me know because I can answer those questions too. I do it all the time. Tyranids, when you have 90 of them, it's kind of 90. When you have 90 miniatures to paint, you're gonna So, any questions, Christine? Is there anything that you feel like I haven't covered? I know you've been here for a while. I feel like you could bust one of these out easier than I can.
I should try one next time.
I know.
Sure.
You should do. I think the next. What's the next one again? It's the Dire Troll, right?
Dire Troll.
Oh, that's such a cool model.
How about we both do it at the same time?
Yeah, I think we should. I think that's something we should.
Yeah, that's like me trying to play the RPG for the first time. I can do it. If I can do it, other people can do it.
Well, yeah.
We may or may not be able to be in person next time.
Exactly.
We did have a request, though, if we do it in person, to also do it on video for people who aren't quite ready or can't make it in person yet.
That would
waiting
be
for their vaccines or whatever their reasons are.
That would be fantastic.
I think that would be great because we still want the videos so people can go back and
I think the videos are fantastic. I think it's a great. If you are not watching this live and watching the video on demand instead, I hope that if you have any questions, like I said, I'm on the Black Rowan Games Discord. You can find the Discord link on the Black Rowan Games website. And I am Ethan the Paint Guy. Feel free to send me a message on Discord. It's not weird at all. I'd love I had a person actually message me on Discord maybe a month ago, 2 months ago. I don't know. Time. But he messaged me on Discord and had questions, and I was more than happy to answer. We had a wonderful conversation the whole evening. So, please do not hesitate to ask questions and ask for help. And because I think it's one of the great things about I'm a part of the Warhammer community, but as the miniature painting community as a whole. It's a very supportive group, and you'll find a lot of support and well intentions, and I think that's something with some other like niche hobby stuff. I think that's the kind of thing that some of the communities lack, is just a supportive community that really genuinely care about each other and want the best for each other in the community. Because really, like, I don't care if your miniature is caked in white paint or caked in yellow paint or caked in whatever paint, red paint, green paint. It doesn't matter if it's caked in so bad that you can't see any of the details, which most people aren't. That like, I'll still say it's a good looking miniature because you put time and effort and really tried for it. And sure, I might have criticism about it, but every miniature is a good painted miniature. You can quote me on that. Yeah, it's about the time and effort and just enjoying what you're doing and having a good time.
Funny. So on the video, when you pull the red over to the tablecloth, it like blends in with the tablecloth a little bit.
Oh, does it now? Oh no.
We planned it.
It's camouflaged.
I know the red Slaad is camouflaged. Oh lordy. Well, hopefully I don't drop it, huh? We won't be able to find it. I know that'll be a nightmare. Hopefully, though, I'm keeping the miniature over the paint palette, so it's easily enough to see for the people watching.
I'm just laughing.
Because I can totally see that happening, and I'm just trying to paint this miniature for you guys. I'm not paying the closest attention to what you can see, unfortunately. But that's what I got Christine and David for. They're awesome. Couldn't do this without them. So.
But especially David. We really couldn't do it without David.
I'm sure you could manage.
No.
It would be.
No clue how to turn.
I think I'd have a better chance doing open heart surgery.
Same thing.
It's about
Right.
No offense. I guess no offense to any surgeons on watching me. Yeah. But
At least with the open heart, you know immediately if it worked or
not. That's a really morbid but honest way of looking at it. Yeah, so right now, I'm at home. One of my personal projects I'm working on is Blade Guard veterans for Warhammer 40k. They're part of the Space Marines, and they are knights with cloaks and shields and swords. And, you know, it's sci-fi, so they've got power armor and they're really cool looking. And so I decided. So a long time ago, I struggled. I have not wanted to paint them necessarily because I wasn't sure what colors I wanted to paint them. And I had decided a long time ago, well, I'm going to go with the off-white because I think that would look the best. And I just started painting them recently again, and after kind of taking a hiatus, and I decided, you know what? I actually don't think, like, I want to try something different. I think maybe that might not work. I didn't like it when I first tried it, and I decided to instead go with like a reddish brown, kind of like almost like a blacksmith leather kind of apron. And I turns out I didn't really like it, and that's okay. I think something like even painting for, I mean, I've only painted for 2 years. There's been people who've painted miniatures for longer than I've been alive. But the reason why I want to share this story is because, you know, even as you become more experienced and more comfortable with miniature painting, I think you should challenge yourself and just see, you know, push yourself to the boundaries. Either, you know, one of the things that I would strongly recommend is trying to do different things every time you know, it's okay if you start off with just, you know, 1 or 2 colors or just keeping it basics. You know, I think these paint kits are excellent to start out with. I think there's enough structure to really get an idea of how miniature painting works, but also enough creative freedom because there's no guide. I don't know. I mean, if you've been watching this whole time, there's no. I mean, there's a box, but there's no booklet. There's no, you know, there's just the paint, the paint, the brushes, and the miniature. And I think those are really. I think, you know, it lets you be, you know, it lets your creativeness really flow. And I'm gonna be showing you guys what I mean as we continue painting the miniature. But yeah. So so just to close out the story of my Space Marines, I decided to go with a different color of white because I did one color white. I decided, you know what, this doesn't look as good as I thought it would, and so I decided to try a different color white, and it looks exactly how I imagined it in my head. And so, you know, sometimes, you know, it's not the worst idea to just, you know, say, okay, well, this is what I thought in my head, but maybe I'll give this a shot. It also helps that there's only 3 of them, and it's a tiny part of their, you know, tiny part of their kit is the cloak. So I kind of shot myself in the foot because I painted my hero character with a red cloak, and now I don't want the Blade Guard veteran and the hero character to look the same. So that was also kind of my fault because I had originally considered giving the Blade Guard veterans the red cloak, and then I kind of decided, you know, I don't want to copy the 2 colors. It would just look too much the same, and I didn't want that for my army. So I kind of ran out of paint here. Happens.
That's okay. There's more.
They give you a lot more paint than you'll need. If you honestly, if you're painting this and you run out of paint,
I'm really sure what to say.
Yeah, I genuinely don't know what to say about that. I mean, finger painting.
Finger painting?
Yeah.
That would be a good model.
I mean, yeah, I don't know. But you shouldn't run out of paint. If you do, I guess you're gonna have to go to Amazon or something, or a local game store.
I was gonna say, mostly we have paint.
And try and color match.
We don't have Vallejo right now.
Yeah.
We have the Vallejo kits.
Yeah.
Or
selling like crazy right now.
Or even better. Or even better, buying another paint kit.
Yeah, there you go.
But you shouldn't have to do that. So.
Unless you want the challenge.
Unless you want to. That's not a. Do not listen to David. Do not accept that challenge.
Which actually just brings us again to what a great value these paint kits are and how much
yes.
paint you end up left
yes,
over.
You'll see. Yeah, so like, if you've been following these paint kits, as they've been released, that's a lot of paint. We don't want too much paint.
We haven't gotten to doing for a while, actually.
No, it's been a while. It's been a couple months. They
the holidays.
Yeah, Yeah, they've been having a hard time coming out, I guess, or something. Because I think the red Slaad wasn't the one that was originally we were supposed to be painting out. If I
It
remember.
was May and June. They changed the schedule.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was supposed to be Dire
yeah.
Troll. And then WizKids changed the schedule, or it just got confusing. I'm trying to find my list of what's coming up in the next 6 months. Because we have a list.
Yeah, the Dire Troll is really cool. I'm really excited for people to be painting that one. I'm excited to paint it. I think it looks really cool. When I saw that miniature, I was like, okay, I want to paint that. And you know.
Okay, so we have the next one will be Dire Troll, which is supposed to be done in May, June. So we'll be doing that in June. And then we have the Death Tyrant in July.
Oh, that'll be fun.
And then we have Bone Claw in August or September.
That'll be a lot of fun. Those all sound like really fun miniatures to paint. And I really hope that you're here with me. I think that, miniature painting is a really interesting hobby. I think it's one of those things that everyone always says, oh, I can never do that. How could you ever do that? I mean, look at these sausage fingers here. Like, these are not thin fingers, thin, nimble fingers. But I mean, it's just a matter of, being patient and just letting the brush do the work. And also, one of the things that helps is planting your wrist. Kind of like, so like that. I like this paintball is a little bit excessively big, but I mean, it gets the point across still. So like, if you watch as I'm painting, I have my hand gripped around it, and then I have my hand resting on my fingers. And so what this does is, see, now all I got to do is move my fingers. And my fingers are doing all of the work now. So one of the big tips is to plant where your wrist placed and where you just taking your time and just like I said, that's why I put the miniature on the pill bottle, is so that way I can get different angles really easily. And you'll notice too with my fingers, I'll even extend them so that way my hand has something to rest on. Bless you, Christine. Allergies. Oh my gosh, they've been really bad this year.
And then David sneezed since he's been in here. Poor David's had the worst of it lately.
And with COVID too, it's even scarier because it's like you start coughing, and it's like your nose is a little stuffed up, and you're like, oh my god, oh my god. Yeah, it's like, oh god, where have I been? Like it's that was a little too much paint. That's okay though. You can spread it around as long as you're quick enough.
COVID?
What?
Okay, you know what? That was terrible timing on that, but that was a lot of paint. I had a lot of paint.
Like, wait.
Do not commit biological atrocities in the name of Ethan the Paint Guy. Yeah, don't do that. That's a big no-no. If you happen to get too much paint on your brush, if you're quick enough with your paint before it dries, not anything else, you can spread the paint on the miniature.
Thanks for the clarification. That was necessary.
Yeah, clearly. I didn't think so, but I mean, hey.
You were talking about the COVID virus, and all of a sudden, like, you can spread it if you're fast enough. Like, no.
I did say no. I did say, oh, that's a little too much, but if you're quick enough, you can spread it. And all you guys heard was, if you're quick enough.
Still talking about it.
I knew what I was talking about. Anyways.
No one else did.
Well, if you're in chat, let me know if you knew what I was talking about. Yeah, so we're getting really close to getting all this paint onto the miniature. We're just getting... So... And you'll notice, even though it's red Slaad and pretty much all of this is red, we're going to be getting... There's a couple of extra colors that we need to put on here. I think the one that's most surprising to people is going to be what we do with the purple. I recently learned about this interaction, and as soon as she said that she was the woman who did the WizKids miniature, as soon as she brought out the purple, I knew exactly what she was going to do with it, and it looks fantastic. And I'm going to do something a little bit different from what she used it for. but it'll look really good.
So you left his face white. It looks like he's just wearing a red Bruce Lee like jumpsuit.
Jumpsuit, yeah.
Yeah.
Or long johns.
Yeah, well, like you know how Bruce Lee has like the yellow one? It just looks like a red version of that.
Well, I will paint his face now, just so
Yeah,
just because you mentioned it.
Oh, I think you were gonna use it for a different color. Like
Yeah, I want to paint his face orange. He's a red
Good
Slaad,
choice.
but he has an orange face.
to
But,
their own.
Just like kids in school, you can do it however you
Yeah,
want.
exactly. You know, I'm gonna be doing it a little bit differently than she.
You're gonna be putting purple on it, but he's red, so
Yeah, well,
you know, it works.
you'll see what you won't even tell that it's purple. I promise you that much. I'm gonna add a little bit more water because it's a little bit too thick for me. The paint is a little too thick for me. I guess I should specify every time. Yeah. So like I said, we're not worried about anything.
Such a bloody color.
Yeah, it's like I said. I think this is a really
That's
nice
gonna be
color, though. I think.
Great color to use in other stuff.
Oh yeah, I think. Well, cloaks. I think this kind of color is perfect for cloaks. I think a red cloak kind of really. That's why I put it on my hero character in Warhammer. I think red cloaks look really good. I think it just really ties the character. You know, red really ties everything in, especially if we're working like a lot of like steel colors, like metallics, or if you're doing like leathers. I mean, red just works for those really well. If you're
Oh
doing
yeah,
like
this would be a
D&D
great leather color.
right? And this one say if it's an accent, like if you're using painting like a rogue, and you want to break up the brown a little bit, because I know that
I was saying to paint it on a brown. I think would look really nice.
yeah, that too. I think you can mix this with brown, like a brown paint. I think it would look really good.
I feel like that's the ideal red to mix with.
Yeah. The Vallejo dark red is a really nice color.
Is that what they call it? Dark
Yes,
red?
or heavy red.
Cool.
Yeah, it's
Now I'm gonna look and see if there's any Vallejo paints to restock anywhere while we sit here.
yeah, this is a really nice color. I think it just works with a lot of things. We're gonna be doing some really cool stuff with it. So this is a really cool model miniature. I don't think I've ever fought a red Slaad in D&D, but after today, I'd love to.
Just gotta throw it in now.
Just have to just use an excuse. Random encounter. Red Slaad. Roll initiative. Cool, really cool looking monster though. And I don't think I've ever seen a miniature for a red Slaad either. Like
We have a blue slot over in the Wave 13 of minis from.
Oh really? Okay,
I think I
that's
saw
cool.
one.
We also have a purple one. You just can't see it because it's invisible.
No, that's a Warhammer reference. If you don't know, if you're not in on the joke, that's a Warhammer reference. I can explain it if there's anyone who cares. I'll just explain it because I love it. So in Warhammer 40,000 universe, there's a species called the orcs, and that's pretty synonymous there. I feel like if you're watching a D&D paint stream, you know what an orc is. It's same concept except they're orcs in space.
I only know because of Lord of the Rings. Just saying.
Or Lord of the Rings.
Same
That's
thing.
another.
They
That's
feel like the same.
it's the
For those of us who don't play D&D.
and for those who don't play, those who don't play D&D, if Warhammer, if you're into like Lord of the Rings, the same
World
concept.
of Warcraft, anything.
World of
anything.
Warcraft,
Oh, yeah,
any
yeah.
kind of fantasy.
It
So
works like the exact
so
same
Warhammer
everywhere.
40,000 has orcs just as well, green skin monsters. Controversial if you play Horde.
They're all monsters. They're plants.
Well, yeah, that's getting into the nitty gritty of that lore. So anyways, so the orcs in Warhammer 40,000 have a psychic ability where if they believe something, if enough of them believe something, it becomes reality. So, for example, they like to paint their cars, like their trucks and their armor and stuff, different colors depending on what they think that is the best color. So, for example, red means makes things go fast. So if someone paints their truck red, if an orc paints their truck red, it's because they think it'll make their truck go faster. And because they believe the truck will go faster because it's red, it goes faster. So, like, and different colors mean different things. Blue means lucky. Green means, or green is just orcs. Yellow is tough, I want to say. And then, no, black is tough. Yellow is, I don't remember. But anyways, I don't play orcs. But anyways, originally, purple didn't have any connotations. But in the Warhammer 40,000 showcases for orcs, none of the orcs were ever painted with purple armor or with purple weapons or purple anything, really. It was never a purple showcase army for Warhammer 40,000. So the Warhammer 40,000 community decided to go out of their way and give purple its own connotation. And they decided that purple is the stealth color. And do you know why? Have you ever seen a purple orc? That was the justification, because there's never been purple orcs. So now, and then Games Workshop, the IP owner of Warhammer 40,000, decided to make that canon. So now, canonically, purple orcs are stealth because they believe it makes them invisible. So, purple Slaads you can't see either, I guess.
So remember, kids, if you believe hard enough, they'll come true.
Moral of the story.
Sounds kind of Disney. The dreams
I
that
mean,
you wish.
that's about as close as Warhammer 40,000 is getting to Disney. It's a pretty horrifying setting.
The orcs are the Disney
Rich,
faction.
purple is stealthy, yellow is wealth. That's what.
Oh yeah, because no, so orcs, their currency as a society are
Hi,
teeth.
Rich.
So hi, Rich. Oh, speaking of Warhammer 40,000, hi, Rich. Yeah. So we're just about getting ready on the base, finishing up the base coat. I'm just getting all the little nooks and crannies that I've missed.
Rich says, and I don't know, this was 7 minutes ago. I'm sorry, I wasn't watching the comments, Rich. He said, I think it's best practice to lick it off. I don't know what that was in response.
When he said there's too much paint, I think.
Oh yeah,
about spreading it too fast.
So the controversial thing, I don't do it on stream because I don't want to be judged, but I do it at home. Is people, if they want to keep the tip on their brush, is they'll put it in their mouth and use their saliva to keep the tip. I do it at home, but I don't do it on stream because I don't want to be judged.
Rich says he knows nothing of Warhammer lores.
I believe him.
I believe everything on the internet. So
Fake it till he makes
On
it.
the internet, huh?
Fakes it till he makes it. Makes up as he goes.
Well, I'm sure that if I see Rich in person, he'll correct me if I was wrong on anything, and I don't blame him.
Oh, I'm just noticing we have Pokemon in the background for you today.
Oh yeah.
Chilling Reign. That's the new one.
Yeah, so we're just getting all the little nooks and crannies. We're just, like I said, we're at a point in the miniature right now where we aren't really particularly worried about.
Rich says the acid in your spit deconditioned the paintbrush. Deconditioned the paintbrush.
I don't know about the science behind it. I just do it because I like the taste of paint. What?
Is that like using glue when you're a kid?
You only meant when you were a kid?
Some of the
No, don't do it.
I can't remember what his name is, but one of the more famous painters in the Warhammer hobby world does it because he says that the paint the wash water gives him superpowers.
Gross.
Yes.
Gross.
Think about gallons.
I mean, I don't know. I feel like I've become a much better painter since I started putting the paintbrush in my mouth.
You became one with the paint.
Or you
It
become,
flowed
yeah,
through you.
exactly. Christine's over here just, oh gosh.
Christine's over here enjoying an adult beverage. So. It's all good. Whatever you gotta do.
It's required.
I'm off duty.
Well, that sounds
To
like
the
a good
content
time.
monitor.
Yes.
I mean, she was 7 minutes late, but we're not going to talk about it. We're going to just gloss over that one.
We're gonna blame Noel because he's sick. So.
Sounds logical.
Throwing off the
dynamic.
vehicle clearing.
Yeah. But yeah, so we're just about finished with the base coat. We're just gonna get every little nook and cranny. If you're having a hard time getting some of the paint into the nooks and crannies, my advice would be to add a little bit more water, thin the paint down a little bit more, because especially these heavy paints from Vallejo, they're especially thick. And part of that is because they're so densely, like they have so much pigment in them to cover easily that you know it's just just the nature of the paint really. So it might not get into the nook and crannies if as easily. So you like feel free to just add a little bit more water just to
Rich
be.
says, "What model is this?"
So this.
So glad
Richard,
you asked.
Thank you for asking. So this is the red Slaad from D&D Paint Night miniatures. It's a monster and it's red.
And if you want more information about exactly which one it is, if you look under Ethan's face, there should be a little advertisement. I don't know if
Oh
that's the right
yeah,
word.
yeah, picture of the box.
Yeah. Yep. So look under my face. Not.
Size are up there, guys.
I wasn't gonna make that joke, so thank you. So yeah, so I'm just trying to clean up any of the little bits and pieces and just really start getting it going.
You think the commentary is good tonight? Wait till we're all in person.
Oh yeah, it'll be.
And we have our beer license. Look out!
What?
Okay, so funny story. Shout out to there's some game store owners that were driving from Portland back down to their store in San Diego, and they had posted on a store owner Facebook page like, "Hey, who lives along this route?" And I said we do, and so they stopped by, and now I forget the story. What were we saying?
Great story.
Met 'em. They're
Oh,
nice,
no.
lovely
Oh, so
people.
they already have their beer license, and so I learned that anything with malt counts. So, so you can actually do. I don't know if you can do seltzers or not, but you can do. They said something. There's something else besides beer, and I said, "Okay, awesome." The things you learn. And they also said that they serve it all day long. They don't limit it to after 6 o'clock, and so we're like, and they don't have any problems. So we're like,
Interesting. Interesting.
Won't that be fun? You just like stop by for paint night, grab a
Have a
beer,
drink.
grab your mini
Grab your brushes.
and your brushes, and you just don't mix up the beer and the wash water
I mean,
Unless you want superpowers.
unless you want superpowers, different kind of superpowers.
lets you see all the colors.
Relax after work. After we're all going back to work after the pandemic.
Taking the saying you can taste purple literally.
Taste the rainbow.
Oh no! Oh no!
I think Skittle gets its flavors.
Oh my goodness! From the
David,
paint
you
wash
are
water.
unhinged right now.
Stay
Rich says, "What is a red slab? It's a monster. Should we look them up?"
Oh yeah, where's someone bust out the monster manual?
Should have a description on the side of the box.
Not a description, it's more of like a scenario.
Oh.
As you walk in the thick fog, you swear you can hear shuffling steps behind you. Each time you turn, though, there is no one to be seen. You pick up your pace, but grasp your dagger to be safe. Sensing something once again, you spin around, and without warning, a grinning red Slaad lunges towards you with a claw extended. It's now up to you to defeat this aberration or become its next victim.
It does have
Alrighty.
really big claws.
It looks like
It
an
does.
alligator standing on two legs with giant claws.
Let's look it up.
All right,
Big
It
so
meat.
says
claws.
large aberration, chaotic neutral, armor class 14, hit points 93, speed 34.
well, that's metagaming.
I'm just
For
googling
That's
for
meta-
non-RPG players,
the RPG players, I hope that gave you a laugh.
also known as blood flags. It says.
That's meta.
Here, now I'm on Wikipedia. No, Forgotten Realms wiki.
All right, so now we're gonna dive into the black paint now. So we're gonna do the same thing. We're just
The
gonna
black red or the black?
the black. We're gonna get to the black red, but we're gonna do the black first. So, oh gosh, that ruined that. Actually, that was a terrible idea. But it cleaned it off a lot more thoroughly. I guess All right, so let's make sure to close this up. We don't want any accidents. All right, so now we're gonna take the same multi-purpose brush and we're gonna go ahead And we're going to be a little bit more careful now. And we're going to be painting up these claws. Oh, I missed a spot. Darn it. That's okay. Not the end of the world. So I'm sorry. I'm bringing it closer to me. So you kind of want to keep the body posture check. We want to try and keep as much of the paint black off of the red as possible now. Not the end of the world if you do. I'm probably going to have to paint over some of the red, but it gets easier as you get more and more done. So we're going to go ahead. We want to get this all painted up. And so we're just going to And so this black is really thinned out, so we don't really have to worry too much about thinning it out, but we also want to be mindful. Oh man, this hand did not get as much red paint as I thought it did. I'm going to have to go back. Alrighty. I'm going to give it some nice black nail polish. So here what I'm going to do is I'm going to place it down, and that way I can reach in here and start getting all the nitty gritty stuff. So we're going to, and this is where I'm going to start deviating a little bit from the official WizKids stream that they had.
How could you?
It's more fun that way.
And I'm the unhinged one.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Took that one personally, huh? Sometimes you gotta get creative with your angles here. So we're gonna be coming in through his arm right here and just painting as much coverage as possible.
So with black being a darker color, doesn't it cover better?
Yes, and that's part of the reason why you want to be careful here with not covering that much red. Because you can cover the red pretty easily over, like red goes pretty easily over black, but you also don't want to have to go, unnecessarily go back and repaint stuff. So sometimes too with like fingers and stuff like this, I don't mind having little bits and pieces that I don't paint, like not painting the whole. So like for example, if you look on this hand, I don't know if you can see like right there. So that finger's not fully painted, but that's okay because by the time I finish painting it, like as I'm painting it, I figure out where I want the black part to end and the red finger to start. So that's a little tip that I like to do because sometimes I don't like. It's hard to gauge it when it's all white like that, where the ending is and where the beginning is. So once you add color to it and really start getting it colored in, you'll be able to see where the distinction ends and where everything starts and where everything ends. So that's something to keep in mind as you're painting, is that sometimes if you don't paint all the way to the bottom, it's not the end of the world, because that way you can go back and see. Like get a better idea of where on the miniature the miniature ends and the nail ends and the what's it called begins.
Finger?
Yeah, the finger. Thank you.
Anytime.
English is hard.
I know. That's why you're the paint guy.
Yeah, I'm not the English guy. Yeah, so we're just powering on through. We're gonna be doing so we're gonna be finishing up the nails here, the claws. What should we name this red Slaad?
Oh, did they get named?
Well,
I mean, do you name any of your other ones?
we named the ogre, didn't we? What did we name him?
Oh, what did we name him?
I don't remember.
Oscar? Something, it was not with an O.
Yeah, I can't remember.
Oswald, Oscar.
I think it was Oswald. Oswald, the ogre, the zombie ogre.
Something like that.
Or Ezekiel. Ezekiel?
I thought it was an O, but now I have to go back and.
Well, I guess we have to watch the VOD, yeah. But what do we want to name this guy? I'm thinking Rex. He looks like a Rex to me.
Well, they're supposed to be.
He's like a...
They're supposed to be the lowest of the Slaads and
Yeah.
just the like big dumb killer of them all.
Well,
So,
then Rex seems pretty appropriate.
Like a king. Does it? Rex, I thought
I
It's not
think-
king.
Well, because
Yeah.
it's kind of like, you know.
Well, Rex is more associated with like bigger things like dinosaurs and all that. And T-Rex, the king
Well,
of
Rex thinks he's cool. Rex thinks.
I mean that's pretty.
He was like, I've named it. We're done. There is not going to be discussion.
I was thinking like Reed because it has 2 A's in the Slaad. Put 2 E's in the red, makes it Reed.
You're reading too much into
David
this.
the English guy. I don't know.
But
I was
did you catch that one,
I was
Christine?
Reading, I got it.
see. I was thinking Reed like red above. But
Read the red slab.
Yeah, that works. That works actually. Maybe we'll go with Reed. Maybe I'll give an inch. But you're not taking a mile.
I can't block a mile, so I'm fine with that.
I hear they have motor scooters now though, so that might help.
Oh yeah, just go rent one.
Just go rent one. Take that.
Let's go on a little trip.
Yeah. Yeah, so you see with the toes, like I don't know where the nail ends, and so I'm just like there's a little bit of white there because I'm you know, you can't tell so easily when it's all white. So that way now that there's some color, I can get a better idea of where I want the nails to end, where I want the nails to start, and it gives you a little bit of room there. Now we're getting
You may
started.
want to move the camera this way a little bit. When you pull it towards you,
Oh,
you
I
can't
see.
it as well.
Yeah,
You
I
can
got it.
only
Well, you
see
got it?
the
Closer.
palette.
Closer to me.
Do you see what I'm saying? It's like at the bottom.
There we go. There we go. Thank you, Christine.
Yeah, you're welcome.
It's hard to. And thank you, David.
David.
Thank you, Christine. And that's what I have them for. They help me out more than I help them out.
Except we don't have the ability to paint this well.
Yeah,
We're gonna try it next time, right?
yeah. Give the whole gang in. I think that'd be a lot of fun. I'm gonna try and get some other people too. People who, you know, like me, like a dog. I have been vaccinated. So, it's exciting stuff. Being able to be done with this almost. And these miniatures have really been like their quality has really increased. It's insane. Because I remember with the Chimera, it had a lot of mold lines, and it was not. It's kind of difficult because it's one of those things where you can't really get rid of the mold lines because it's already been primed. But it still looks good.
To be fair, the Chimera had more detail in it though. I feel like the red side's a lot smoother in parts, so it's a lot easier.
Kinda, sort of, a little bit. It's debatable, because, I mean, there's a lot of nooks and crannies on this. So, alright, so here's the first deviation we're going to do. So, when they painted the spikes on the WizKids stream, they actually used dark sea green. I feel like it didn't look that good. I think it should be black. But black is my favorite color, and, you know, I very much live by the paint it black
He says while wearing a tie-dye shirt.
You don't know what my pants look like.
I do though.
You do, but they don't. Shh, don't kill it for me. I'm generally wearing a black shirt.
Okay.
So, it's just, this is a special occasion.
Technically, wouldn't it be closer to white? It has all the colors.
No,
Okay.
I like being broody. I would never play this character, but I am the rogue in the corner of a tavern brooding IRL. Okay, so yeah, so we're gonna be painting these spikes black. We're gonna be painting these black as well. On his elbow here. We're gonna be painting. So, because I think it just looks better. I think black and red it works. They work together. They look really good together. So why not maximize it? So we're just gonna go ahead. Does it look all right? So what video games have you guys been playing lately? Any Among Us?
I don't know why. I haven't played that in a minute.
Yeah, that fad kind of died,
Yeah.
unfortunately. That's how long it's been since we streamed. That was a fad last time we played. That's when we were here painting. Everyone was playing Among Us.
Yes.
I have been that long.
Yeah,
I used to play it all the time. I
yeah,
don't think I played it in months.
yeah. That's unfortunate. But yeah, so notice the few bits of white parts that we do have here are just are parts around these spikes that I hadn't painted yet. And part of that is just some, because like I said, when it's white, you don't really know what you're painting. So it's easier to, in my opinion, it's easier to paint it after the fact rather than trying to paint it as because I could have just painted it all white, or all red at the time, but it makes more work for yourself too. Kind of, sort of. Because you still don't really get where it ends and where it starts. So I think it looks better when it's black like this. I think it's gonna really look nice rather than the gray that they use, because I think we can use the gray better. Controversial opinion there. We're just gonna be trying to get all of this black, and then we gotta do the eyes too. So we're gonna do that with the tiny brush though. No point in doing it with this big brush.
So you like to challenge yourself.
Yeah, but there's challenging yourself and there's just climbing uphill in the snow.
Both ways.
Both ways. So I think that's almost all of them. I just got this one right here. And then, so we're just, I need to go back with the red, but I'll do that later. I'm not going to worry about it right now. Let's just try and get as much as painted as possible. Make sure you paint every point. All right, David, thanks for hanging out.
I have to unlock the door or else he'll be locked in here forever.
Do you have to?
He hasn't even rated a key yet. Soon. No, right? Oh, you finished some math projects. Maybe.
Alrighty, so we're just about done. So we're gonna finally use this brush. So this brush we haven't used yet, so we're gonna get it wet, and we're gonna break some of the protective coating on it, so that way we're just gonna get it wet and just clean off the protective coating. All right, and now we're gonna give it back into black, and then we're just gonna go ahead and black. Alrighty, now it's just me and Christine's stuck with me. Alright, so now we're just getting. Alright, that's looking really good. I kind of like the Slaad with black eyes. What do you think?
Let me see.
Because, like, on the box, it has them with red eyes, and I just think the red eyes just look dumb. Like, I think it's just, like, I think that looks better.
Yeah.
I'd rather do the red. We want to just keep it red, keep it all black, because I think it looks cooler that way. And that's, that's something you can totally do. It's, your model. You can do really whatever you want with it. If you decide how I'm doing it is not that great, then that's perfectly fine opinion to have. So now I need to get more of this red, and I'll do that later. I'll do that another time. We can hold off on that for now. It's not the end of the world. It's underneath here. You know what I noticed is that it has an odd number of toes, and that makes me a little uncomfortable. I gotta be. Look at it. Look at it. Here, you see the
Is it odd
toe.
number? Like 3,
It's an
right?
odd number of toes. It's got 4 toes on one foot and then 3 toes on the other
Oh,
foot.
I see what you're saying.
It's got a it's a little uncomfortable.
I was gonna say I have an odd number too. 5 on each foot. That's
yeah.
odd. But okay, so 4 and 3, huh?
Yeah.
Huh.
So okay, so what we're gonna do now is we're that was a pretty So now what we're gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and start working on the teeth. And we're also going to work a little bit on the I don't know what the refractive green is for. So actually, we're going to do parasite brown, actually. Uh-oh, close. So there we go. Okay. So we're going to take parasite brown here, and we're going to paint in his teeth now. All right. So we're going to do the same thing where we just take a little bit, and then we put it on here. We don't need that much, so we're just going to take a little bit off, then close this up. We don't want any accidents. So we're going to go ahead and paint in his little teethies. Paint in his little mouthies. A little bit of boo-boo, but that happens. No need to. And then we're also going to do a little bit on his lips too. I'm going to paint his lips this color. Break up some of the monotony of the red. Because we're also not going to keep his lips that color. We're also going to take a little bit and just kind of, so not enough. No, I'll just cover it back up. That's okay. There we go. Now it does what I wanted it to do. There we go. Just want to gently, with most of the paint brushed off, just kind of color it in a little bit. Give it a little bit of differentiate a little bit, because it's a little bit. Actually, I'm just gonna grab some red here and just paint over that and redo it. You can always redo it. You can always. We're at a point in the miniature painting stage where we can always redo it. So I'm just gonna go straight out of the pot here and just rub it off on the. And we're just gonna go right back over it. And actually kind of get the effect we were going for a little bit. Because it's a little bit brighter, and we're going to go ahead and just a little bit, just kind of just color it in. We're also going to, we'll just take some of this and just put it on here like this. Because we got some other stuff.
So for people just joining us, can you give us a summary of what we've done so
Yeah,
far?
so okay, so right now all we've done is we have painted the entire miniature in the heavy red that comes with the kit, and we have painted the spikes black, and we've also done the teeth with parasite brown. And I've made a little bit of a boo-boo, so I'm kind of covering it up while simultaneously fixing it. And then, but we're gonna be doing the recesses here in a little bit. So I'm gonna cover this back up because I didn't like how it came out. And then, but I'm gonna do it still. It's just I'm not gonna do it like that. I'm gonna do it a little bit. That was a little bit too much paint. That's okay. Just as long as it's still fluid, you can still keep working. Oh, that was a lot of paint. Cleaning it up because it got just a little bit too high on the paintbrush. We don't want to be splitting our paintbrushes. That's a big no-go. So we're gonna make sure it's extra clean until when we drag it across the paper towel, we don't get any color. So because right now I have paint in the ferrule, and like I said, I do not want paint in the ferrule. So now so you can see right here, if you look, bumble. If you look here, so you can see this is the first one, this is the second one, this is the third one, and this is the fourth one. So see how this has a lot of color, starting to fade out a little bit. There's a little bit here. I don't know if you can see it on the stream, but there's enough color for me to want to do it a second time. And I'm just going to do it one more time because I really don't like having paint in my ferrule. I like having nice tips on my brush. So, okay.
And if you missed that story,
Yeah.
gotta get the tip on your brush again.
Yeah. Just put it in your mouth. I'm just going to keep painting it, all the little bits and pieces that got missed. I'm going to put a little bit of water in here. So we're going to go and be real careful. We're going to get inside his hand. We're gonna cover up some of the black that got on as we were painting the claws. We needed a second coat there on his leg. And we're gonna paint some more on his claws. We got to get his feet too. His feet need to be brushed up. But his leg here. His leg, back of his leg here. We're just gonna be little bits and pieces that we missed. How's the stream looking? Everyone can see what I'm doing. Alrighty, so now we've cleaned up some of the parts that were a little bit egregious. So got some parts that need a little bit extra filling in. We're not going to worry about it too bad. All right, so we're pretty much, so we got his teeth, grossly gross. We've got, so we're going to be doing some of the shading work. So we're going to take our black red and we're going to be filling in some of the shading. So here I'm going to have fresh water here. And let me make sure that there's no paint in here. We don't want paint to dry on the brush because then it's a mess. So sometimes just drag your paintbrush along the bottom of your cup and just give it a nice whirl. And you just want to make sure that it's not it's coming out dry, so I'm just going to trust it. So, okay, so we're going to take our dark red, or black red, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to go ahead and start filling in some of the recesses. So we're going to be real careful here. We're going to be using our detail brush here. And how's time looking?
We're 7:51. 10 to 8.
So, okay, so
About
we got
40 minutes.
Okay. Cool, perfect. So we're going to go ahead and take this black red, and we're going to go ahead and just fill in some of the recesses. So we're gonna be putting it in here, and we're just gonna be we're gonna take a nice big dollop here, put it down there. So you'll notice this is like much darker. We're gonna be using this to fill in our shadows. This is what else. If you weren't here earlier, so this kit misses in a wash, and I think washes are really nice. And we're gonna be filling in the recesses with paint. And this is a process I do not like, but I can do it. I just avoid it because it's low risk. It's high risk, low reward. Because I just think that a wash just does so much better. So we are just going to be filling in all the little nooks and crannies here. And like, for example, like you miss all of these details up here, in my opinion. Like it's just. We're just taking the fine detail brush and the black red and just painting in the recesses. we're just going to be painting them all in. So we're just going to be darkening them up. And that's why it's much more tedious than a wash. It's the same effect in my opinion, just way more difficult. Paint his butt crack. And we could have done this first, but I think it's better to see the miniature unfold a little bit. So we're gonna do it behind his knee here. Just all the places that shadows would reside. And we're gonna do it like in this little groove right here. We're just gonna paint it nice and neat. Nice and neat. And in my opinion, this technique is really difficult if you're a beginner, because you have to be really neat and really precise. And we're also gonna get in between his toesies. All 7 of them. I don't like that. Thanks, I hate it. And then we're just going to be painting inside here. We're just going to town. We're going to get right there inside his knee. And right here inside of his other knee. And we're just really just trying to, here on his arm, on his leg. We're just trying to really make these pop. Anything? Any comments or anything?
No, not right now.
And so don't worry about being too neat, because we're gonna go back over it and we're gonna dry brush this all back, so that way we can bring it all back in line. But we're gonna, in the meantime, we're just trying to get all the details in. Just try and get all of the shadows, and we're gonna get like right here on his arm, like anything that you think would have some shadows. And like a crease, any kind of crease is what we're painting here. And that's what makes this difficult, is because I mean, if you just started painting, it's hard to imagine shadows and stuff like that, and like where shadows are, and like that's why this, in my opinion, this technique is just unnecessary. Get his face right here. We're gonna get over his eye right here. But like, in my opinion, a wash does all of this for you. So if you're painting, if you decide you really enjoy miniature painting after this, I would strongly suggest learning more about washes. And we're gonna get in between his fingers here. Just gonna try and get, and like I said, you don't have to be super neat here. We're gonna get, oh fuck, fudge. We're gonna be getting inside his hand here, because that's where shadows would be. I'm gonna get inside of his fingers. Inside of his fingers. And like I said, this process is so much more, it's so much more effort. Which, I mean, maybe I'm lazy, but I do miniature painting because it's fun for me. And I don't want to try that hard for something. So we're just about done, I think. I don't think we'll do some, we'll do it right now. Here a little bit, make some shadows. And we'll do it underneath his leg here, so there wouldn't be right here on his shin. We're gonna do a little bit right here, just like a little bit of line. Just really just kind of picking out where shadows would reside. Okay, so there's that. So so now we're doing that. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna finish it off with the hex lichen. So the hex lichen is a purple, and you're thinking, well, how's that gonna work? And I'm gonna show you how it's gonna work. It's gonna look really cool. And so we're gonna take this hex lichen, right? And the same thing, we're gonna go ahead and take the bottom of our paintbrush and just give it a night, right? And so what we're gonna do now is I'm gonna grab a paper towel real quick, and I'm gonna dip it in this fresh water I have here, and I'm gonna clean my finger off real quick, because I'm gonna dip my fingers in some water, and I'm gonna drop water into the paint. So I'm gonna thin it out a lot here. I want it to be really thin. And I'm kind of making my own wash here, and it might break the paint down, So if the paint starts to split, and it's kind of hard for me to describe that, but like if when you put it on, the paint is like not really working with you. It's just that means that the paint is split and you added just a little bit too much water. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take a little bit of this, and I'm just gonna put it on my finger. I'm just gonna see what it looks like, and that's about what you're looking for. So if you look on I'm just doing it on my fingernail as an example, but see how, and this is why I love Vallejo paints. I've added a lot of water to this. There's a lot of water in this, and so you can see how the paint is really thin. You can still see my nail underneath the paint, but you can tell it's purple. So it's kind of like making my own wash here. So I have it just right. And what we're going to do is we're going to go back and we're going to paint the deepest recesses. We're going to go back and what this will do is, and we're going to paint only the deepest recesses here. And it's kind of like a wash here. We kind of made our own wash. And it's okay if it's a little bit over stuff, because we're going to come back over it. But we're just trying to really sell the details here. We're not being going to be that was a little too liberal, a little bit too much. We're just trying to be really gentle with this stuff. And we don't want too much, but we want enough to where we'll even add a little bit of black here. So because I want it to be extra dark here. I want it to be really dark. I want it to be shadows. So we're gonna add a little bit of darkness, that way it's a little bit of darkness here. So that way we can really, maybe a little bit too much darkness, but you'll see like when we're back here, like with that much, we're gonna go ahead and really lay it on here. We're just gonna the same thing. We're just gonna get all the really deep recesses here. So like right behind his arm, and we're just gonna really bring the recesses out. I'm gonna put some in his mouth in the corner here. And this is really thin, so you gotta make sure to be really careful about what you're doing with it. And we're also going to put a little bit on top of his head. Not too much, but like just enough to where we can really like get some of those details and these little nooks and crannies up here, because we're going to come back over it. We just set the base coat, and we're gonna redo the base coat in a dry brush. Right now we're just bringing out the purple, so that way we can really make this red shine, really sell that red. And I know it looks bad now, but we'll get there. Okay, it's like a Bob Ross painting, you know. If you ever watch Bob Ross and you think, oh man, he ruined the painting. What's he doing? And then not even 20 minutes later, it's this beautiful landscape painting. The same concept. So I know this one I did a little bit too heavy-handed, and it's a little too purple. So I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna bring it back a little bit. It's still a little bit wet, but that's okay. We'll be able to fix it pretty easily. You'll see. So, all right. So you can see like the purple doesn't really mesh with the. So what we're gonna do here now is we're gonna go back to this heavy red, and we're gonna let it. We don't want the paint to overlap here, so we're gonna keep our paint dry here. We're gonna do a dry brush here. So I'm gonna put a nice big thing of paint right there, and I'm gonna just wet my paint a little bit just to clean it off. And what we're gonna do is I'm gonna take this little bit of paint off of the paper towel, not the palette. I'm gonna rub most of it off. And so now, so like I said, so I'm gonna grab a little bit more. Just really, we want to get the paint really in the bristles. So see how now the paint, it's not nearly as much on the brush. So now what we're gonna do is all the parts that we put that purple, we're gonna go back and we're gonna go ahead and bring the red back. So what'll happen is this red will catch over the wet part that we just did. and it's gonna really give it some texture and some depth. So we're gonna go back. We're just gonna same thing. We're just gonna dry brush it, and this is something that the Whiz Kids did not do. And I think it would have been. I think if they would have included a purple wash, I think like they did with the zombie ogre, it would have looked really good. But you know, can't control that. So we're just gonna go ahead and go back over it. Just really give it another. And this one, we're just going to be going up and down. So now that we kind of brought the color back a little bit, not a crazy amount, but just enough to really get, we're going to take some of this extra paint here. No point in letting it go to waste. We're going to take a little extra. I'm going to go back over here real quick and just paint over it again. So we can keep all that beautiful color. But what I'm gonna do too is I'm gonna put some of that shade on underneath his chin. This really thinned out purple paint. I'm gonna put some of it under his chin, and we'll I know it looks weird now, but when it dries, it'll look really good. Here too. It's gonna take a bit for it to dry. It'll really make the red pop, especially when we start going into the brighter colors. So this vermilion color, I love this color, by the way. This vermilion color is beautiful. I use it for a lot of stuff. It's a beautiful, bright, vibrant red. So I'm gonna give it a moment to dry here. Is there any questions or anything?
No questions have been posted.
Cool. Okay. Yeah. So right now we're just in cruising mode. We're just right now. You can see how dark the purple really makes
Can you try shining the light a little closer on it when you're on the camera and see if we can? I'm not sure if we can see that color.
But it's the thing though. It's this bright purple, right? You think it's hard to tell, right?
Well, I can't. It's hard to tell in the. Okay, there we go. The light is helping a lot. Okay.
So you can see and see on top, it's a little purple and like, but once we go back over it with a brighter color and really start bringing that color out, once it dries, it'll really solidify the effect and really give it the deep shadows.
Why does he look like he has a fog?
I mean, because that's how the creases are. But once we bring out the color, it won't look nearly as thongy because I get you.
Too much info.
Yeah.
No, but you can. Thank you for moving the light. You can see the purple a lot better.
Yeah. So this is a practice in color theory. So this is a really great color theory. Is really complex. It's really hard to really describe accurately. But what's happening here is red and purple. I wish I had a colored wheel because this would help a lot. But red and purple are opposite sides of the color spectrum. So they make each other pop. So another good example of this is red and purple make each other pop. But another good example of this is yellow and purple. They make each other pop.
They're exact opposite.
Because they're like. I'm not explaining this very well. I know I understand color theory in my head, but I can't explain it. But the gist of it is that purple will complement the red. And
because it has red in it,
yeah,
so it makes
so
sense
yeah,
it would be
exactly,
adjacent,
yeah.
right?
I think it's an adjacent color, actually. Yeah, like I said, I don't know all the terms for color theory. I don't pretend to know, but I guess I was. But it's because they're adjacent colors, they make each other pop. So red and green are another example of this. So if red and green will play off of each other, yellow and purple will play off of each other, orange and blue will play off of each other like that. And so the gist of it is they make each other pop. Because of how color, I don't understand how it works. I just know that that's what happens when you do it. So we're just letting it dry, and so the purple. So now you can see. So now so now you can see that it's dried. It doesn't look nearly so purple. And what we'll do too is we're gonna take this vermilion now that I think it's dried enough to really get that popping, to see how bright that is. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna do the same thing with the all-purpose brush. There we go, multi-purpose brush. We're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna take a little dollop of it and we're gonna put it on the paper towel here. We're gonna use the paper towel as a palette here. So now we're gonna take the red and we're gonna brush we're gonna take the red, vermilion, and yeah, see it's real bright, right? So what's gonna happen is we're gonna take this, right, and now we're gonna go over it here, and we are going to brush it on this. And so now you'll see how the purple almost fades away, but it gives it enough shadow that all of a sudden now this purple that seemed to be a little bit too bright, right, all of a sudden is pop. Now that's making this red pop. So we can even just, it was dry brushing, you can even just dip it in as is too, and just, you know. So now we'll take this and we'll go across the little miniature. So now we can really make you can see too how the red really makes it pop. So we'll go here to take the thong, for example, and start brushing it on here, and all of a sudden, hopefully it takes that effect away a little bit. But that's part of the, reason with purple is it'll.
See that?
So that was a little bit of a mixture of a little bit of black and the hex lichen and really making it, using color theory to our advantage there. So we're just using it to get just a little bit. I'm not particularly fond of using these brushes as dry brushes. I feel like they're tiny. I like big, giant.
Do you want me to find one of your big ones that you used before?
It's not the end of the world. Because I want to just use what people. I want to use what people in the kit are going to use. Because it's just.
But you can always go to
Yeah,
the
but you
dollar store.
can always, yeah.
get
So
a makeup brush.
Black Rowan Games have dry brushes, but you can also make do with a makeup brush. I love makeup brushes for dry brushing. They work fantastic because they're feathery and light, and they just are amazing. So we're just gonna dry brush, and all we're doing with the dry brushing, because I didn't explain it very well, we're just taking the paint, right, and we're just brushing most of it off. And this is a little bit of a technique where it's difficult to get the hang of, but once you get the hang of it, you can pretty much apply it to anything when it comes to miniature painting. It's a real easy technique to get some really, really amazing highlights. And we're just going to be dry brushing this whole bad boy. Read the red Slaad. That is a clever name. Don't tell David I said that. David, don't watch the Slaad. So, okay. So we're just getting... And if you're not sure if you've brushed enough paint off, just brush a little more off, because it's easier to add to just keep brushing, doing your highlights and dry brushing, than it is to it's easier to like layer it on slowly than it is to add more. Like, you can put too much on a lot easier than you can put too little on. If that makes sense. So we're just gonna be. I really like this color, so I'm gonna be very heavy-handed with my dry brushing. But you can see on top too, as I add more, the purple just melts away, but it gives it all that definition. And that's part of the reason why I like washes, is because you can dry brush over them, and then you get this amazing detail for free, almost. It seems it's free real estate. So I'm gonna keep dry brushing. I'm gonna be a little heavy-handed here, but you can't do too much, but when when a model has this much texture on it, it's it's really hard to get too much. So I'm gonna put a little bit on his cheeks. A little bit on his cheeks. And go a little bit heavy-handed on the more raised areas here. Take a little bit of this dark red, and I'm going to cover up this chest area a little bit. It's because it's a little too purple. It'll still show up. So I'm going to clean my brush a little bit. It's starting to get starting to get dried paint on it. And that's a no-go. We do not want dry paint on this.
Mm-hmm.
So even though it's a...
Wow, it's really brightening up a lot.
Yeah.
But not as like overwhelmingly
As you
if
think
you
it
had
would-
done
yeah.
that color, just that color
Yeah.
instead of the dark.
Yeah, so and like I said, like the purple now you can you can still see bits and pieces of it, but
shadow.
it's shadow, so it looks natural.
Mm-hmm.
Looks less like a thong.
It totally looked like a thong.
It did. I can't argue with that. And so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna take this dark sea green, and we're just gonna. Oh, you know what? Actually, I'm gonna make sure everything's. Get rid of all the white now, because we're at a point now where we shouldn't have any white. And I'm also gonna dry brush underneath his gullet some more, because I think it needs a little bit more. A little bit more. It's just a little bit too purple. And I'll go back over it too. Yeah, so you can hardly see the purple now. It's pretty crazy. All right. A little bit more of this red. And we might need a second session because I still got to do a little bit more things. But otherwise, you could leave it here, and honestly, it would look great. I mean, minus
really
minus little bits and pieces, but I mean, there's more that I want to do, so we might have to pick this up on another day, huh?
Yeah, because you got to do the base and.
Yeah, we're gonna have to crack out a couple of those bases, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
It won't be that hard.
We're already at 8:15, so yeah.
Yes, yeah, we'll go ahead and call it here. Thank you for watching. If you're watching this live, if you're watching this as a video on demand, please, let me know what you think.
Hit you up in Discord.
Hit me up in Discord, please. I'd love to hear, post it in pictures in the Discord. Always available. So please,
I think we have a paint night channel. Let me look.
I mean, if anything, we should do miniature painting too, or
Yeah.
or just hobby. Just do a hobby channel. So, anyways,
Wherever you want, we'll find it.
yeah, we'll figure it
There's
out.
an and more.
Yeah, we paint moderator, So, anyways, thank you so much for watching. I will catch you next time. Because we will do a part 2. So, thank you so much.
Night.
I think you have to end it. Uh-oh.